Well, Canadians continue to mourn after the discovery of the remains of 215 children at a former residential school in BC. Many calling for a federally funded investigation into all residential schools and a national day of mourning for the victims. This news bringing back painful memories for survivors, and many are wondering if they will see justice. Here to begin this discussion, because there's a lot to talk about, is Angela White, Executive Director of the Indian Residential School Survivors Society. Good morning to you, Angela.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining. And I don't even know where to begin. This is horrific. It is devastating. And sadly, for many who are hearing the news, it's not surprising. So I want to get your take right off the beginning here of how you are doing and how the community is doing right now.
Good morning, Melanie. Thank you. Our organization, well, we're in actually British Columbia, but it's been rolling out like an emotional roller coaster for a lot of our not just staff but clients. It's coming to like you were saying, a realization that this isn't a surprising news, but it's that validation that people are finally going to realize and understand the truth of what actually is going on behind those closed doors of those Indian residential schools. And that's what we've been dealing with. And our organization has been more or less just getting to work, pulling up our socks and making sure that people are prepared to go through every single emotion that they are going through, and we'll have those supports available to them.
Angela, there is the emotional support indeed, but there is also a call for action. And so we heard from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speak yesterday, acknowledging the truth. And I'll just pull up the quote. He said, "Sadly, this is not an exception or an isolated incident. We have to acknowledge the truth. Residential schools were a reality, a tragedy that existed here in our country. We have to own up to it." Now, he also mentioned that he promises support for searches at former residential schools. There is no specific dollar value or any major commitment put forward there that we heard from him, but saying that he will do this. Do you believe that?
Let's just say I will believe it when it actually happens. Not to be skeptic, but it's more or less that the current resources that are put out there are amazing and, great, but it really is about putting action to those words. Until that action happens, I mean, you look at the TRC 96 recommendations, you look at a lot of these other studies that are happening, this really needs to move quick and fast and not just sit on a shelf and collect dust.
Angela, we've had a number of viewers reach out and say, what can they do? What can they do for support? And what do you say?
I've been fielding a lot of these questions with local friends and allies, and it's one, become a good student, learn about that history, understand and acknowledge that history, write to local MPs to demand social justice.
It's a beginning. The beginning.
It is a beginning.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a start. This is a start, and it's not going to go away. This is the scratching the surface of so much history that a lot of people are just now realizing is so horrific. And so it's really about trying to balance yourself, take care of yourself, no matter who or where you are, because as you had mentioned, the entire country is mourning.
Angela White, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, 8:09 is your time right now. This discussion is far from over, and not just a discussion, action as well. We are putting this number right at the bottom of your screen. We do acknowledge that these stories are triggering. They are traumatizing for so many survivors and their families. So please, please do use these resources if you need. And again, we will continue to have these very important discussions here on Breakfast Television. Right now, it is 8:10, and we're going upstairs to Steph.